Hey, welcome to Rockley. If you love music, record collecting, you're in the right place. In this video, I'm going to share my top 5 Kiss albums. Stay tuned.
Get ready for Rockley, bringing music to you. Rockley, rock and roll, metal and country too. Get ready for the record of the week. Get ready for Rockley.
Kiss is one of those bands I glossed over, didn't pay attention to, kind of thought they were all show and no substance. So for the longest time, I just never gave them the time. But passion is infectious. And in watching vinyl community videos here on YouTube, Kiss fans are so passionate. So watching these videos of all these Kiss collections and people just really fired up about certain albums and tracks and all the drama and context that goes along with these albums, I got motivated and sparked to give Kiss a closer listen. So within the last year, I have listened to the entire discography, a lot of the live albums, not all of them. I'm still getting through. They have a ton of content out there to dive into. So this is my top 5 studio albums. So I just wanted to preface this list that I'm a new Kiss fan. So if you've been a Kiss fan for a long period of time, 10, 20, 30 years plus, you can see perspective from a new fan that has really just discovered Kiss within the last year, knowing of them but never giving them a close look or listen until recently. So let's dive in. Okay, so number 5 on my top 5 Kiss albums is Revenge. So this is the heaviest Kiss album, and it's probably why I gravitate towards it. I really like the Gene Simmons written tracks on here. Unholy, Domino, and Thou Shall Not. Love those. I do like Paul's Take It Off, but I definitely prefer the Gene songs on this album. I think at the time, prior to this, I think Gene was something like getting more involved in like wanting to be a movie star, and maybe, from what I understand, this is kind of like the first time he like refocused on Kiss again. Before Paul seemed to kind of take the reins, Gene, I think, really salvaged this album. And you also have producer Bob Ezra come back on for this album. I think overlooked at the time, but has grown with fans from what I understand. But for me, just starting at from the first album to the last, going through their discography, this one stuck out to me, and I find myself going back to it often. So Kiss Revenge, number 5. All right, number 4 is the self-titled debut. So this was the first Kiss album I listened to start to finish, and I don't know if that's why I'm so drawn to it, because it's like the sort of what I think of when I think of Kiss, and being that like 70s Kiss, this is the like epitome of it. But I really love the Strutter, Deuce, Black Diamond, those tracks. Awesome. I think the only thing that brings us down a notch is the production on here. It's a little weak in comparison to like when Alive would come out. And those songs, I mean, those are the superior versions of those tracks, right? The production just so much better. The energy, they're much more focused, I feel like, on those live versions, where these definitely a little bit more raw. But I like this album. I like the track listing from start to finish. Just a really, really good album, and a fantastic debut, and just a glimpse of what was to come. So the debut is my number 4. All right, number 3, Destroyer. Number 1 cover art out of the discography. I mean, this painting is iconic and just fantastic. To me, cover art should give you this glimpse of what you're about to experience when you put the record on, and this does just that. You have these 4 band members that look like superheroes that are going to, through rock and roll, just take you from this land of despair up to higher ground. And I just love that. Just the aesthetic of this is just perfect. And this is it's a greatest hits. You got Detroit Rock City, King of the Nighttime World, God of Thunder, Flaming Youth, Shout It Out Loud, Do You Love Me? And of course Beth is on here. Probably Great Expectations is, I could live without that track. But the rest of this album, fantastic. Obviously, this is the first one with Bob Ezrin, and he does a phenomenal job on the production. I think some Kiss fans maybe say they think it's too clean of a sound for Kiss, but I love it. I think it's perfect. And anyway, my number 3. Number 2, Creatures of the Night. I love this album. It's when I listen to their discography, so from start to finish, this is right after The Elder, which is wildly different, to put it very subtly, than the rest of the Kiss discography. It's definitely an outlier and jarring when you get to it. So I didn't know what to expect with the follow-up to that. In reading, it sounded like Kiss was in, The Elder did not perform well. Kiss was kind of in this desperation of, wanting to be relevant. So they decided to kind of put it all out there and just go with what they know. And I think this kind of shows the perfect balance of the kind of the 80s led Paul Stanley portion of the discography, where you definitely have more of the hair metal sound and vibe, especially when they take off the makeup, blended with the 70s era, more hard rock, classic 70s sound. This album to me kind of is that perfect blend and the transition from that 70s to 80s sound that they had. And I love it from start to finish. Creatures of the Night, the title track, is awesome. Then you have Rock and Roll Hell, Saint and Sinner, just fantastic. And then, I found out that Ace, who's on the cover, actually apparently doesn't play on this record, and I guess they worked out some sort of deal. Again, they're in this, time of desperation. They really want a hit on their hands, and they felt that, I guess Ace was just adamant he did not want to be in the band, but they felt like they would sell better with his face on the cover, so they worked out a deal where he's on the cover. I guess they don't talk about him not playing until later. But you have Vinnie Vincent on this album, and he is a phenomenal guitar player. And I also really dig his makeup. And I guess Paul Stanley came up with all their face makeup. But anyway, I think Vinnie Vincent, underrated. And anyway, there's alternate versions of this cover that replace Ace with Vinnie Vincent, which is funny. But anyway, Creatures of the Night is just awesome. I just return to this album so often. I really, really love it. And it would be my number 1 had I not come across Ace's solo album from the solo album era. And when I got to the solo albums in the Kiss discography, I was just so fascinated by the whole story around why those albums exist and why they were released the way that they were. You have the biggest rock band in the world wants to break up, and they can't stand each other. So the record company and marketing come up with this idea of, well, what if we, give you the resources for each of you to do your own solo album, but we'll release them on the same date, so nobody gets preferential treatment. And they're thinking like, Kiss fans, they're gonna buy all 4 albums, and this will be great for all of you. You'll get a break from each other. You get to do your own thing. And the label, I'm sure, was thinking, and we'll get to make all this money off Kiss. So they agree, and that's what they do. Release all 4 solo albums on the same day. But I guess they didn't foresee is that friends would get together and each of them would buy 1 record, and then they just swap. So I guess there were tons and tons of returns from record stores because, everybody was anticipating, everybody to buy 1 copy, and it's not the way it played out. Especially when you had the singles come out, and Ace had the highest charting single with New York Groove, and then I'm sure word gets around, of which one's everybody's favorite, and I think Ace's definitely rose to the top out of the solo albums very quickly, and for good reason, because this one, it's so good. Now, I think Kiss purists probably argue that this isn't a true Kiss album because it only has 1 member, but Ace is my favorite member, and he just seems like such a cool guy, and I love his guitar playing. He just seems like his best friends would be like a cop and a firefighter, and you could find them at your local pub, and you could have a drink with him, and then he'd get on stage and melt your face with his guitar. He's just so cool. Where Gene and Paul kind of like give me this arrogant vibe, which, I mean, you're massive rock stars. You're gonna have, some arrogance about you. Whatever. But I love this. And Ace, his voice mixed with the tone of his guitar just is perfect to me. I love the sound of this album. And you have all these hard rock, fast-paced songs on here, and where the other guys kind of did some different stuff. They didn't try to make a Kiss album, so to speak. They just where maybe Ace's style is just Kiss, so his solo album just sounds like a Kiss album. But you have the tracks on here. You have Rip It Out, Speeding Back to My Baby, Snowblind, Ozone, What's on My Mind. It's killer from start to finish. And then that's the first side. So you're not even to side 2. Then you get to the hit single, New York Groove. And then it's probably my favorite track on here. It's hard to pick one, but I'm in Need of Love. And it probably sounds odd to most of you that that's my favorite. But his voice, he has this like wincing pain and he's just telling you straight out, look, I need love, but I also know that it comes with this like sadness afterwards because it's gonna be over, you're gonna be gone, and he's just being like open and straightforward about it, and like you can hear this ache in his voice when he's singing, like I need love, but it's just, I love it. I've listened to this album so many times, probably 100 times now. I have this on constantly because I just love this song. And then, so I'm in Need of Love. Then it follows up by Wipeout, which is just a really cool tune. It's just a great album. The aesthetic on all the solo albums is one of my favorites aside from Destroyer. I just love this black, and they each have their own color and glow. And man, I can't imagine being a Kiss fan during that era, and going into the store and seeing all those solo albums and wanting them all, and very cool. Anyway, Ace solo album, my number 1 Kiss album. So that's it for this week, guys. That's my top 5 Kiss albums from a new Kiss fan or a member of the Kiss Army. But I want to know your top 5. So if you've been a long-time Kiss fan, I'd love to know what you think are the top 5 Kiss albums. Anyway, you just had a healthy dose of Rockley. I'll see you next time.